Welcome to the Trails Committee meeting, May 6th, 2025. I am calling the meeting to order at 7:45. Let me know you're here. We'll do a roll call vote. Will Warren? Will, you're on mute.
Here.
Satyendra Sharma
Here.
and Kat McKee here. We had some technical difficulties, so apologies to anyone who tried to attend. We started late. Okay, so first order of business, I will share minutes. They did go out a little bit later. So give me a second. Thank you, Sati, for drafting those. Appreciate that. Sharing screens. Let me know when you see the minutes dated April 24th. Is everyone seeing that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So pretty simple. I'm just gonna keep them up, and then I'm gonna ask you if I can just take a look at those, and then let me know if you have any questions.
No
Okay,
questions.
I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna scroll down. Actually, what I'm gonna do is make that go there. Okay. Okay. Any questions or edits? Okay, so does someone want to make a motion to approve the minutes from April 24, 2025?
Will Warren makes a motion to approve the minutes.
Great. Sati, you want to second that?
Okay, yeah, I'll second
you.
that.
Okay, all in favor? Satyendra Sharma,
Yes.
Will Warren,
Yes.
and Kat McKee. Yes, minutes passed. Thank you both. Okay, great. So next up is phase 1 Mass Trails grant. So this is the paving basically. So as of last meeting, everyone is aware that the paving happened. It looks great. The asphalt engineering will be coming tomorrow to the site to install the posts, the signage on the post. So that will get done then. And then the project, that piece of the project will be complete. So I think it's been a great pleasure working with asphalt engineering. They have a very professional business. Very detailed. I really appreciate the follow-up, very professional. And everything is so far has gone very smoothly with them. Highly recommend that vendor. Okay. We are not going to talk about signage right now, but I will say this. I have not heard back from our contact that we had made regarding the Native American history. So I can try a phone call, but I'm concerned that this might not be a good contact. So what that means is back to the drawing board to find a resource. So that will be the hot topic that I'm going to be focused on in the next week, is because we do want to go ahead and get our draft signage for the interpretive piece kind of taken care of or sketched out, go ahead and move forward with that. Will, we had last spoke, you were gonna think about, or you were gonna look at finding a potential resource for a creation of a map for us. I'm just checking in to see if you've made any progress on that. Yeah.
No.
Okay. So we'll continue. Do you have time in the next week to kind of search for a potential resource and connect with them and see if it's something we could have done?
Yes.
Essentially looking, our top ask, the most immediate ask is we have a section of trail. We'd like to have a trail map for this section of trail. And it may involve, the section of trail they're going to be walking on, but it may have some inclusiveness to the overall Burroughs Loop Trail. So there may be the trail map and then how it relates to the larger loop, for example.
So, Kat, it is like, is that in the outstanding projects? Which part of?
Yeah, I think you had it down. Oh, the interpretive sign, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
No, that was a different. There's two types of interpretive signs that we're working on. One is for the Mass Trails grant, the interpretive signs along the trail there, and specifically this conversation is referring to the kiosk, the map on the kiosk. And then, but there is a separate open projects that we want to close out some interpretive signs along the other trails, kind of along open channel. That's where we were initially thinking of putting some additional signs, and that came from some grant money that we had from before.
Okay.
Are you talking, Will? Because you're on mute.
I was talking off camera.
Yes. What were you saying? Oh, you weren't saying anything for Trails Committee, you were just talking off camera, I see. Okay. So you're gonna try to find a resource and let's see if we can,
Do we have an example of something that like what we'd want? We used to have, well, before our website was upgraded to oblivion, we used to have trail maps online.
we do, but some of those are made by us and we're not professional map makers. So we were hoping for, if we're gonna pay money to have it on a kiosk, that it gets done by a professional. Someone with GIS skills, someone with, map making ability and software that would support that. So that's what I was
Okay.
hoping for. And so, Will, you could look up, if you were to Google like kiosk map, maps on kiosks, you'd probably get some great
Okay.
examples of what we're looking for. And the whole, it's a kiosk, it's an information board at the beginning and end of the trail that will direct people to understand what they're about to walk. They'll be able to see the scope of the trail, maybe some features or something, and then how
Okay.
that relates to the larger trail itself, the Burroughs Loop and the aqueduct. So if you have questions throughout the week, certainly feel free to reach out. Or if you want to kind of have some ideas and you want to run them by me, I'm happy to be a sounding board in whatever way is helpful to you. But yeah, so it'd be good to get that going. So along these lines, so we CPC, Community Preservation Committee, had reached out. Lisa Braccio had reached out and asked if I could provide an update tomorrow at their tomorrow's meeting. So I'll be attending that to give them an update. And so what they're going to be looking for is, we have two pots of CPA money. One is the 47,000 that was going to be used as a match for the Mass Trails grant. And then the next piece is the bid, when we go to bid for the boardwalk and the bridge. And so I think, so tomorrow I'm gonna go to their meeting and answer some questions and provide them an update. And I gotta think through this for a second, because we put away money from ARPA bucket to pay for the paving, which will serve as a match for the Mass Trails grant. And what that means, though, is that we did not use our CPA funds that were kind of set aside for that. So we're just using a different bucket. So I'm talking through like how I'm going to provide the update tomorrow. So the question is, and those funds did not have a timeline. Everything has a timeline, of course, we're being respectful of the timeline, but I just mean they didn't have, you have to do by this date number like our other money does. So I think the way, and let me hear from you guys on what you think about this, is basically, if we've got money set aside, the ARPA money set aside to pay for the paving, so we'll do that. Then that 47,000, which was, applicable to phase one, and we've asked if we could, use it kind of for our phase two as well. So what I could do is just, because now that we're where we are in life, when we go to bid, it might be that our, we don't know where prices are gonna be, so having a little extra, having the CPA pot number one help supplement pot number two may be beneficial for us if prices have gone up significantly since our original scope. But so that's kind of how the update will go, I think, where we are with that, and letting him know there actually may be an opportunity to use some of that CPA funding with the signage, if our signage initial quote is a little bit more than what we have. Because the signage, yeah, I guess that's the way we would use it first. So that bucket is still just for phase one. Sorry, I'm talking kind of in circles for the first time, just kind of outlining it.
One quick question, the engineering firm that we're using, what's the name of that?
Beals and Thomas.
Yes, it was, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I think the Rotary Club went and knocked on their door, seeing if they donate for the food truck,
Mm,
but they didn't, I don't think.
mhm. Yeah, so I think that's how I'll frame it. And I think I'll have to ask some questions about, like, I think they prefer to spend, like, they need to spend money on certain, like, it can't really be split up easily, so they need like an invoice to pay, that type of thing. So I might be able to ask some questions, clarifying questions around how we approach that when it comes to our signage. Like, if we fall short, if the signage is 15 and we have 11 in our grant left and we need 3,000, can we how do we do that? Like, what does CPC prefer we do in that situation? Will they pay the additional money, or do they need to pay the whole thing, or what? So we need to figure that out. So yeah, that will be part of the update. And then the other, sliding into number 4, this is Sati, the first part was phase 1, now we're sliding into phase 2. The update there is, so last time we talked, Beals and Thomas, they're working with the structural engineer, and the structural engineer is trying to get comfortable with the bridge height related to the 100-year flood height. And we've not resolved it yet. We may need a group conversation with the structural engineer to understand what we can do. Dave Lapointe from Beals and Thomas is trying to connect with MWA to see if there's, rather than, because we may need to do a hydraulic study of the water level, but that's cost money, stuff that we don't have time. And so he's trying to see if MWA can shed any light on this liability that the structural engineer is concerned about, because the solution is, making the bridge higher, but it makes it higher than the road, so it doesn't make much sense. And it also impacts the abutments, which were previously described and approved by both conservation commissions. So any change in those specs that, we're not looking to make changes to those specs that have already been reviewed and discussed. So that's kind of where we're at. So it's slowed us down, and we can't get bid until we get through that. Yes, Will.
What's the metric in terms of the height of the bridge? Are we trying to make it high enough that it never gets touched, or it only gets touched once every 100 years, or what?
It's a good question, Will, and I can't answer that. So I would botch it if I tried. I think,
well, but I think it's an important question. I mean,
well, it's getting answered. It's just I'm not going to articulate it well tonight, so I'm not going to try. I'm not avoiding the question.
No, I understand.
I don't have a great answer. I would like to hear that from the structural engineer, exactly what the issue is here, because after speaking with Beals, it seems to me that it's just, they need to be comfortable that they're not going to be liable if the bridge gets damaged, if a branch comes down the waterway and damages the bridge because it wasn't high enough to accommodate the water flow. The unique situation we have here, though, is that it's not just any stream, it's a controlled waterway. The height of the water is controlled by MWA. So if there's a huge flood coming, they can control the water and get it down. So it's actually the best case scenario for a bridge to be placed at, because they can control the water. I mean, what stream in the world can you control the water of? You can't, unless it's coming out of a dam, which we have. So,
well, but the thing you can't control is the height of the branch. I mean, what if a tree falls in
Well,
and
we
the
can't
trees.
control a lot of those variables.
I-
You're
I
right. You're
understand-
never
I-
gonna foolproof it from all liability, you know?
I understand, so I would
Yeah.
just say that, you know, let's see if we can take as aggressive a posture as possible.
Yeah,
in
no, we
terms
wanna
of-
take
in
the right
terms of-
posture, but we gotta take the posture that gets us to the next level, which is to bid. So.
Right, I
Without having to
understand.
spend another $10,000 that we don't have on a hydraulic study, which I don't know that we really need, so. Cause there must have been a hydraulic study done when the other bridge was put in place. I don't know how relevant those are in what I'm
Okay.
talking about, so I'm gonna stop doing that, but. Yeah, so we might do a group call soon. David is going to, he's exploring it with MWA, and so that's put a pause. So that's the update I'll be sharing. I'll be sharing a version of that update, and I mean by version, a higher level version, so we don't get into too many details. But we just need, we need the bid to come. It needs to happen.
Well, I just say, let's try and keep the bridge as low as possible, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, yeah, because the whole point is, like, if we were to meet what they were saying, it would be higher than the current bridge, the road bridge.
yeah,
It would be higher than the road. It doesn't make any sense, right? So,
no, it doesn't.
yeah. So, yeah. So let's hope and fingers crossed that we get through this. And David's being good about communicating, so we'll see. But that's putting a pause on the project in that way. So we'll see. Any other questions?
Nope.
Keep you updated. Okay, so volunteer recruitment, not done anything there. I'm just gonna skip over unless you guys have any questions. Bench location and scheduling discussion. So we need to, I think it might work if we just pick a time, a date, to get together. If you guys are, I don't know how you're feeling after work or anything, but there may be a day or something that we can get together, maybe a Tuesday or a Thursday, if you're open to it, to do some work on the benches. We need to tighten up some of the screws, and then just find locations we'd like to put them and make sure we have permission to do so, and that they don't get in the way of mowing grass.
Now, these benches are in enough pieces that we can easily carry them, right?
They're fully assembled. The accessible bench that's been disassembled because it was assembled incorrectly, so we didn't have a lot of time to put it back together. So that one, but it's only a few pieces worth. The others are assembled, and that's actually a really good point, is they're assembled in a way that they would still fit in my car. Like it would take a couple of trips to be in my car, a couple of them, to kind of get them in. They're not that heavy.
Okay, do we have a wheeled thing that can be used?
We do. We have to put the wheeled thing together though. So we
Okay.
can have an assembly party
Sure,
to put the wheeled thing together.
Sure.
And actually we have some shelves. We could put the shelves together. So it sounds like we could probably spend a couple of evenings, a couple hours each evening to figure this out, to kind of make progress here. So, do we want to take like an evening next week and an evening the following week to maybe have a work party and see how that goes?
Okay. Yep.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So today is the 6th. So we could target maybe the 13th and the 20th. Keep it on Tuesdays if you guys are open.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Thursdays are good.
Oh, actually, is Thursday better? You know what? It might be a little bit better for me if you don't mind, because I actually work from home on Thursdays and I don't have to commute, so I wouldn't have to rush from Framingham in the commute time. So would Thursday work for you, Will and
Yep.
Tati?
Yeah,
Okay, so that would be the 15th and the 22nd.
okay.
Okay. And so we can meet, and Will, if you want, I can pick you up if you wanna,
No, I'll get there. We're
Okay.
gonna meet at the cemetery, right?
at the shed. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I can drive you back then, whatever you need. Okay, so the
May
15th,
15th then?
what?
May 15th then? What?
Yeah, the 15th and the 22nd.
Okay.
What time?
Yeah, what time? That's a good question. What about 5:30? That gives us, it's getting darker at what, 7:30? So if we met at 5:30, we have like an hour and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, so 5:30. Great. And what I'll do in the meantime is I'll bring the Gorilla cart that's been in my garage. I'll bring that to the shed. And yeah. So I think our first day will be assembly, and then we can talk and have a plan for where we want to put, because I think we have 4 benches. And again, I think we might have said that if we had enough budget left in our budget, we could maybe buy a couple more if we thought we had good places for them. Definitely think 9/11, the loop there could use one. It could probably use 2 benches, because it's just such a beautiful trail that loops, and has the reservoir on one side, that there's probably 2 good spots for that. But we could do one on 9/11, and I think we've talked about, let me just think. Are there any favorite spots that you guys have that you think of when you think of the trails? There's one spot off of Route 30, right at where Framingham Road intersects with Route 30 at the end of the causeway there, where we have one of the kiosks. So if you walk along that trail, it's the opposite where we always pick up the trash, not at the point, but the opposite side. Like if you're heading down White Bagley, but you're on the trails. So there's a place right in there that overlooks the reservoir, that's kind of just off the trail. It doesn't get mowed because, we need to consider putting a bench on the mowing. It will be a pain in the butt to have to work around it. So we want to be conscientious about that. But there's a little spot like near a rocks outcropping that you could put a bench that would overlook the reservoir, for example. I was just imagining though someone throwing that into the reservoir. But we got anchors for them, so we should be able to find a good spot. How about you guys? Anything that you think of would be a good spot?
Yeah, that looks like a good spot. This so we is it visible from the any road? It is not visible, right? Otherwise,
Oh, the bench, you mean?
yeah.
Let me Google
Are
it.
we gonna have a bench on the accessible portion of the
Yeah.
Sudbury Trail
Yes, we bought a bench
specifically for that? Okay, good.
We did, and that's where we might be able to buy another one, because that that makes that trail more accessible.
Mhm.
Let me share screens here and we can talk map.
By the way, I sent out at the last meeting, I sent out the link to the accessible trails list.
Oh, yes, thank you. Oh, wait, did you, in an email, you sent it?
Yes, I
Right.
did.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. Okay, so what I was referring, if you're seeing the screen here, so map, is everybody seeing the map? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you access the trail over here, the kiosks right here, and
Mhm.
so I'm thinking somewhere like along here. There's an access point where it doesn't have to be mowed. I don't think it grows up in this
Mm.
area. So something like that, I was thinking we don't have to, but it's an idea. And then we walk along here, no. This is all here. So this trail, so this is where the bomb goes off. I was just down there doing a quick scoping of it just looks so awful, right? When the leaves aren't around, all of the trees, it just looks like a bomb went off in there. It's just so bad. Um, but this trail, it kind of doesn't, it doesn't, because it has like some brush along the side here, so it doesn't really lend itself well for a bench.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, it's far enough back from the water that it's kind of
You're not
obscured.
going to be looking at anything but poison ivy. I think that section's pretty.
What about if we continue that trail and we go
Yeah.
across 85 and then
Yeah.
continue walking, and maybe we keep going,
Yeah.
some distance, but along that trail, there's one area where it's like right at the dam or something. which is really nice. It's, it's a sort of a wide spot right behind the dam on the water that coming into the reservoir. And
Or
it's,
yeah,
so,
it's looking at the dam, the one, what dam?
it's the little dam, the water that comes
On Middle
down.
Road, that little
Yeah,
circular
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
that
well, it's a
spillway?
little bit beyond Middle Road, yeah. Maybe it is Middle Road, you're right.
Now,
But
you're not talking about the one off of Deerfoot,
maybe, I don't know, keep
near
going
the
up.
Burnett house,
Yeah,
across the
but
street from
there's,
there.
yeah, there's just a nice big area of water there. Maybe this is what we're seeing here.
So Burnett House is here.
Yeah, and then you keep going a little bit further, and there's a nice, that to the left there of your pointer is that sort of this wide area of
Yeah, this is the little dam area.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a
So maybe
wide
a
area.
bench,
It's
that might
nice.
be, that might be good. Like, so there's a, you know what? That's not a bad idea because so there's that big tree. It's like a big spruce or evergreen, right? It's tall. But people park along here. There is a nice like section of a lot of fishermen. There might be an opportunity for a bench over here. You might be right.
Well, there's also, I mean, there's the geese or the swans or whatever
Yeah.
hang out in that water, and
It's
and
nice to look at.
it's a nice sort of big area. Yeah.
And there's also like a nice grove of, I gotta get property lines. I don't know whose property everything is, and we want to again make sure it doesn't get in the way of mowing. But on the other side, same view. So there, I like that spot and like that suggestion. So I put that down. Now, if we remember, just to remind us on the other side, here overlooking the water, facing Burnett's house, there is that stone
There's a
bench.
stone bench.
Yeah. And the historical signs that the
Yeah, but that's
yeah.
yeah, that's kind of, it's not really a great view, to tell you the truth.
It's grown in a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that takes up 3. So then let's go along. This is way too open. I don't know if, I mean, not along the house and stuff. Like once you get past the houses, I mean, there might, if you put something along here, I don't know where you would put it that doesn't get in the way of the mowers.
What about the the area on Breakneck Hill Road, where the cows used to be in the apple orchard?
Oh, that's a stewardship.
Oh, and
Yeah.
we can't put benches there.
Well, it's not a bad thought.
I mean,
They definitely have thought about putting benches in. Actually, I'm going to bring it up to them. They could use this company.
I think the southern end, right? There's a portion where if you're in the southern end and you're looking north, you get a nice long view of the open area.
There's a place on the summit at Breakneck Hill that would be nice for a bench. Yeah. I think they were going to put a picnic bench up there, but yeah. So, okay. If we don't find a good another location, we might be able to donate one.
Yeah.
So Lynbrook, none of this is good because this is all mowed by, it's way open and mowed by MWA, so we don't want to. Okay, so then we cross Northborough Road, 495. There's nothing to really highlight there. And then we have Ward Road. Along or off of Ward Road is this open channel. I don't know how good that is. I wouldn't really think that bench is warranted there either.
Mhm.
What do you think, Sati?
Yeah, I cannot visualize like that. I mean, I have to go and
Yeah, I
maybe
hear
we can
you.
discuss whatever on the map, but unless I see it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Um,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh, I know what?
Well, I was gonna say, remember, if you go down 85 south of Route 9 to the other side of the tracks, the wrong side of the tracks. Remember that round pool we found? It's you know, the road right before you get to the train, to the railroad tracks. You're on 85, you're going south, you make a left turn, and then you make like the first or second left turn. And that takes you up to an area, there's a soccer field there, but there's also back in the woods, there's that pool that has all kinds of rock and stone in it. It's very kind of picturesque.
Is that the one we found off of Constitution or Liberty or something?
Yeah, yeah. And it was, I mean, it's very nice. I mean, it's just a nice
It
place.
was really nice. We haven't
Yeah.
really talked much about that, have we?
No, but it's on the other side of the tracks, so you know, what can you say? It's where the riffraff live.
I'm gonna write that down just to remember to talk about it, but that's actually an interesting idea. We haven't really promoted that. I know it's kind of a neighborhood trail system. You know what we haven't thought about? We could potentially consider Bay Circuit Trail up here. So off of Clemens and Nichols. So here we have the Peninsula Trail. I'm gonna just draw a little line, pretend it's our trail, right? And then we build a boardwalk and bridge eventually, and then it goes up here. So this section of trail, the south, it's just beautiful and it's close enough to the water. I think we might be able to put a bench with a nice little overlook that you can see the sunset from here. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, that's a nice place. That's sort of the road kind of
Yeah,
area,
it's an
right?
access road, right?
Yeah, I guess the one question I'd have is we'd want something where you get a good view, right?
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, and
you get a
not,
view
it's
of the rest.
not blocked by trees or anything.
Yep, I think
Right.
there are some sections that's key, Will, I agree. There are, I
Yeah.
think there are some openings here, so we'll just have to get strategic and think about it.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, and especially if you can look down sort of that long axis of the reservoir that's going from the northeast to the southwest. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, maybe come up a little bit further than where your pointer is,
Yeah. Up there, yeah.
along the trail. Yeah, right about there. And
Yeah.
boy, you know, get a nice long view of
Yep.
the reservoir. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I agree. We do need to consider there is a town line somewhere. I don't know exactly where the boundary lines are. Marlboro starts coming into play here, so we just want to keep it on our side and
Well, we could always put
Yeah.
a sign that says no Marlboro people allowed.
stop, get out. Just joking. Okay, so that's a good little. So I think we have a few spots. I've written them for us to kind of consider next time. Well, we can talk about them when we're putting stuff together on the 15th and 22nd. Great.
Okay, just out of curiosity, are there enough benches? I mean, this wouldn't be us, but are there enough benches around the field areas?
Like, oh, any of the athletic fields? I don't.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I don't
athletic
know.
fields. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think you're right. Um,
I mean, maybe they've already taken care of that. I don't know.
yeah. All right. Next up is closing out outstanding projects. So not much more to go on. This is where we need that interpretive sign. And I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I'm just going to see if I can find what Isabella had sent. I think it would have been under grants and shoot fund. This one. Now let me do one more thing. I am hopeful. Hang on. All right. Oh. Oh, she put, that's right. Okay, there it is. Good for me. Okay, I'm gonna share screens. I got lucky. Lucky for you too. Okay. So you should be seeing, it's small right now. I'll make it bigger. So this is what she put together. It was featuring the Eastern white pine, right? So in this sign, for example, and I don't mind sticking with that subject. So this is a picture. So if you remember along the open channel, I can switch to the map itself here. Let me orient myself to this. So this is, it's here, up here. Okay. So Johnson Road, yeah. So if you are familiar, if not, that's okay. So over here is Chestnut Hill Farm is on the right. And then along the open channel, if you start hiking from Northborough Road, it might be Old Northborough Road, and you hike along this open channel to get to the other side of Northborough Road just before 495. That section is lined with white pines all the way down, right? So now I'm going to switch over here. That's what this image is of. If I can make it bigger, if that's
Right, so that's what those trees are in that straight section of the
yeah.
water. Yeah.
So we can, again, replace these pictures, but I wouldn't mind this highlighting that. I think we can use what she has here, and make a smallish sign. We're not talking about huge one with a huge post that goes in the ground. I've seen these even attached to trees, right, with the right way. So we could do something very simple like this and build from this. And this is what, when I say the interpretive signage that we're trying to close out projects, this is what I was referring to. So what do you guys think about that?
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Just a little bit of information about the area. Yes, Will.
okay. Just one question, and that would be, we're putting up a bunch of benches, right? And
Well, 4. It's not really
4,
5.
okay, right.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if we could enrich the benches by maybe dedicating them to people.
Yes.
All right. So, I mean, and it could be, any people we want. I mean, I know that there's the Rotary Club is dedicating a bench to a guy named Ovid who died not too long ago, who was a big Rotarian, he and his wife. And there are other people, that we'll be donating from a Rotary kind of standpoint, but there might be people from the town or such that we would like to dedicate a bench to.
I like that.
It's just,
Yep.
if you're gonna put a bench up, it might not be a bad idea to enrich it a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the company we ordered from do that kind of stuff. Like if we had that list ahead of time, we could have had them, a little plaque put on dedicated to. And so I like the idea. Now we could, put a call out to the town. There's several ways we could go about doing that. But I like the idea. So let's kind of circle back and figure out a way to get that. Cause it might be, we might be able to share with my Southborough blog and see if she would, look, the Trails Committee, we have a few benches. We're looking for folks to, for dedication or whatever, and we can ask for people to submit ideas and we choose.
Yeah.
Or, something like that. Anybody, we could honor.
Well, I guess the other aspect would be, we're coming up on the tricentennial, and there might be some theme tie-ins there as well, right? So in other words.
When is that?
Well, it's 27, it's 2027, I guess. but they're already, having meetings and such
Yes,
and
yes.
planning for it. And, it might be that there are historical figures that could be commemorated.
Oh, look at you. Huh. What if? Haha. Yes, I like
I'm
it.
just thinking that, also just, on a more selfish standpoint, which would be that maybe we could shake some money loose from them, to pay for plaques or whatever. But
Well, you know,
or else pay for more benches, where we share the
here we
cost
go,
of
Ben.
living.
Will the company that we bought these from, they have a bench program where they go into communities and, it's basically donate a bench in honor of, and you buy
Mhm.
a bench in honor of your person, and then we put it out somewhere. So there's certainly that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a way to enrich the bench and make people,
You know what
and
I would
also
like?
attract more attention as well to the Southborough trails, right?
So whether we honor, current Southborough residents, or whether we honor historical figures, or whether we honor, like how history, like wouldn't it be nice to be able to tell a little story if it was a historical figure, like, you know, dedicated to the memory of blah, 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 and, a little tidbit about the history, whether that be, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
before Southborough was settled or after. I really like that, because that's not a sign, but it's sharing information
Yeah.
via a bench. I really, really like that, Will.
Well, and especially with the tricentennial coming up,
Yeah.
right? It would be a way, I mean, there's nothing to say that a bench couldn't have two plaques on it, but
Yeah, it could have a
um,
little story.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, there's just with the tricentennial coming up, there might be some some opportunities there to get other groups and people sort of excited about what we're doing.
Yeah. No, that's really good. I like that. Let's see what we can make happen. Okay, so we'll
Oh,
have
by
to
the
kind of,
way, just one last point, and that is that in the Rotary Club, one of our members was a big friends with a woman who was killed in the spring in a snowmobile accident, a Southborough woman.
oh, I remember that story.
And she was very well known in the town, and her and her children, and so in memoriam kind of thing can also be, another aspect too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay. So we'll have to work on this also. So I think I can try to put this out as something we can try to finalize by next couple meetings, but have a better idea next time of some of the changes we recommend.
Mhm.
Okay, work plan. I've asked Tom, he had that computer transition, so he's been unable to grab the work plan. So I think what I'm gonna do is draft something for us to look at next meeting. It'll be a
Okay.
simple base template of what we need to do on property that's owned by DCR to be put in our work plan, to be added to our agreement. And then we will, obviously have some caveats, like there'll be an annual work plan for the maintenance that we do on the trails, and then there'll be, permission provided for special projects, similar to why, the parking and stuff that we're doing now is a special project. So
Are we in good shape with respect to the mowing and everything?
it's the time to start talking about that, Will. And so I did confirm our budget's the same as last year. So I'm gonna reach out to Bill Cundiff, the superintendent of DPW, and just reconfirm that the contract that they're actively using is still the same contract this year, same labor, and ensure that, because I feel like J&J, they were supposed to do the additional mow of the open channel section near and close to 495. I'm not
Mhm.
sure. I feel like I got full confirmation of that yet. I'm sure they did what they were supposed to do. I just didn't witness it and hear any discussion around gates being open or closed, or the difficulties, was the ground wet? Because that section can get kind of tough up there. So I'm going to do a little more digging, connect with J&J after I talk to Bill to understand what the parameters are, and then we'll talk about that in the coming meetings. The good news is when I scoped the trails, there wasn't a ton of, fallen trees. Now they can always fall in between our meetings, but it doesn't seem like we have a ton of cleanup to do ahead of time, but I'll make those connections and report back next meeting on where we are with the mowing.
By the way, I don't know if anybody went to the last town meeting, but Bill Cundiff has the perfect Department of Public Works voice.
He what?
He does.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What did you
He
say?
has the perfect Department of Public Works voice.
Voice?
Yeah, when you hear him, you're instantly, that he knows what he's talking about. He's just as solid as a
I like
stone
that.
wall there. It's just
Yeah.
amazing.
That is funny. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. I think that's all I have for now. Do you, anybody else have anything? Okay.
Nope.
So Tom couldn't join us today, which is okay. We'll have, let's see when we want to reconnect. Today is the 6th.
Yeah, now we're gonna be getting together on the 15th and the 22nd, right?
Yes, that's going to be a work meeting. So I'm wondering if,
Why can't those be meetings if we have a quorum?
no, because we're allowed to have administrative site visits and stuff. I might need to ask clarification because not many committees have to put together a cart, right? So it's not like this falls under a normal meeting topic. So let me reach out to Jim and see if this falls under the administrative, like, site visit type thing, which you're allowed to do without having to call a meeting.
Okay.
But I will let you know how that goes. And so it might behoove us, to your point, if we did call a meeting one of those nights, that might work out really well, because we could then discuss trails business, because we're about to find out about the hydraulic study and also next steps on the bid, and having a couple of opportunities to talk about that on record would be good. It does mean our minutes, it won't be a recorded meeting.
Well, most
technically,
meetings are not recorded.
what most meetings aren't.
I mean that most of the town meetings they're not on Zoom and they're not recorded.
Is that true? Most? You think the
Yeah.
majority aren't using Zoom?
As long as the minutes are published, yeah.
No, I'm just saying right now, currently, people aren't leveraging Zoom committee meetings.
Well, but I mean, I was at a cable TV committee and we had it over in the townhouse, but it wasn't on Zoom.
We can have any. I mean, this is.
I'm not
what
worried
we
about
need
not
to-
being on Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can have it off. I'm not
Yeah.
worried about I'm not worried about having a meeting in person. I just mean we won't have our recording. We'll need to figure out minute taking, because if we're actually doing work, it's gonna be hard to, and talking, it's gonna be hard to take minutes at the same time, is what my
Yeah.
point is. The other point is it's a public meeting, so people need to be able to attend. So I'll need to put the location being the shed. So we
Right.
might have people show up that can just stand there and watch us, I suppose.
Or they can help. They could pitch in. You never know.
Okay, so yeah, let's consider that as an option, and then I think then that means we probably don't need to schedule another meeting right now, because we have 2 opportunities to do so if we learn something in between.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, so then does someone want to thank you for all your help tonight. Does someone want to make a motion to adjourn at 8:35 p.m.?
I move that we adjourn at 8:35 p.m.
Great, do we have a
I
second?
second it.
Great, let's do roll call. Will Warren,
Aye.
Satyendra Sharma,
Yes.
Kat Key. Yes, great. Thank you all, and we'll be in touch. Have a great weekend.
Thanks.